welcome to Hotel Fleas Byte, the place where you are stuck in time, but you don't even know what's going to happen next. I'm hosted by the lovely Jeremy Stormsky. What's going on, mate? You are muted. I think there's a glitch in the matrix here.
Some sort of glitch. It must have been the Nosh, am I right?
The Nosh, though, the Nosh they fought wars over. How you doing, chap?
Oh, not too bloody bad today, mate.
Where's
if
your
you
hat?
notice, like, my hat, I left it on the bloody boat. Wouldn't you know?
Oh my.
Yeah, it's probably full of fleas now, I'd say. Bloody hell.
Hey, bloody hell. My hat is way more full of fleas than yours, son. Do you see this? You see this ash and coal from the gangs I fought in?
You must have had some sort of bloody party last night, good sir. I'm
I
surprised you're...
don't even know how I met. What's going on, homie? It's your homie, Young Content. Welcome to the most regal show on the internet. Took a lot of time to develop this. We found a castle. We bargained with Johnny Depp to let us use his castle. We're currently in Johnny Depp's castle.
it cost like 3 really nice bottles of wine. You know?
Really, one of those expensive ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking very swell, very, very exquisite. You look like you just came riding horses. How you feeling? You feeling regal? You feeling meta? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty meta this week, man. I've taken a big dive into the metaverse psychology and philosophy, let's say. So my brain is just completely digitized at the moment. How you been keeping those, sir? You're looking historical.
Victory!
And you just came out of one of those old-timey photos.
Feeling content. I'm feeling extra regalian, and I'm ready for a show. I'm ready to dive into history, dive into maybe some space MMOs, dive into.
Always.
You seem like you are a righteous. What do you call those guys that look up fossils?
That look at fossils, archaeologists.
Dig up archaeologists. See?
That's so funny, man. Fun fact, right? When I was a child, that was my dream. Like when you have a dream, you know, and people ask you what your dream was, it was archaeology, 100%. As a kid, I wanted to be, what's the guy's name from Jurassic Park? Dr. Grant.
A bone collector.
That's right, man. That's right. Exactly.
Collecting the bones and putting them in the barrel.
So what are we doing here, Young? We got a new show, man. This is the first of the new show. This is exciting, dude.
Dude, we literally came up together with this name. I wanted to name it Fleas, and you came with the word bite. Fleas Byte. Hotel. Fleas Byte.
Boom. And we got the special sort of bite in there. You know what I'm saying? A little curveball, if you will.
Yeah, it's a little curveball. We're gonna bite you with a lot of information.
We will today.
You will flee the scene. You probably go into the Matrix or the metaverse or the simulation.
Snippity snaps, son.
Snippy snaps, ginger snaps. But yeah, it's been a lot of shows this week. Yesterday was Saturday Night Sniper Session. That was really good to bring back the big return. We talked to Influence last Tuesday. We'll be probably talking to Parallel this Tuesday, and it's all good. And it's a beautiful day in North Carolina. The coal miners are working, it looks like, and they're still doing their thing. And
that's why your hat's so dusty. The coal miners, it's all coming together now. Speaking of Parallel and Influence, man, I feel like we should catch up with just a tiny bit of news from both of them this week, just in case our audience is not aware of it.
Yes. Dive right in, son.
I think Influence, if I'm not mistaken, just hit a 1K community followers on their Discord. So big shout out to Influence breaking the 1,000 mark. That's huge. Well done, gents. I'll give you a cheers to the old Nosh for that.
For sure. I got the beeswax Nosh for you guys.
Truly keeping it old school, all natural. And then I think from Parallel, I think it was yesterday. Well, a couple little interesting tidbits from Parallel. They revealed a couple new cards yesterday as far as mechanics go, and then I think Parallel himself dropped a little spicy Prime token sneak peek from MetaMask or Etherscan or something into the chat.
I saw
So
that
it looks
channel.
like, oh man. So there's some cool things happening in both our space odysseys, let's say.
Yeah, and now that gas fees are very low, people are rushing to buy more asteroids.
Yes, sir, man. When
Gwei,
I saw gas fees were $20 today, I almost shit a brick. It was like a whole brave new world we were living in.
could we be getting ZK Snarks earlier than we think? Who
Ooh,
knows?
ooh.
I would say 20 is rubbish. Honestly, I miss high gas fees. It kept the peasants away.
That's the most regal thing you've said yet, sir. It's
Oh
the
my God!
beeswax.
Fees!
Yeah.
Dude, there's somebody
Leave it
embargo
alone.
taxing over there in that internet ethernet of things.
Ethernet Web 3.0 is what you're
What's
saying.
your opinion on Ben Gertzel? He's a part of the Cardano team. He also runs Singularity Net. He is the creator of that Sophia bot.
Ben Gertzel. That's so funny you bring him up, man,
He
because
wears that
one of
funny
the
cheetah hat.
yeah, Ben Gertzel, if I'm not mistaken, I think I listened to a podcast with him a few years back, and I really liked what I heard. But this was a few years ago, so if he's dived off the deep end since then, I'm not endorsing him at the same time, I guess. I don't know. I guess fill me in on old Gertzel.
Um,
I'm not. I haven't kept up with him in a couple years. I'll be honest.
all I
My
know,
opinion elsewhere. Where
this is unregal of me, but there's a project coming out from Cardano called the Hodgkinsons, and he
okay.
has his own little Simpsons emoji. Hotch.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
So he's I don't know what his affiliation is. I know that Singularity.net is literally trying to create the Singularity, or
Yeah.
if you look up on their site, I don't won't do it now, but they have tokens called AGI, which is going to power the Internet of Things of the
Well,
next 10 years.
this is I think AGI came out like back in 2017, 2018 though, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Because I remember it was like AGI and Deep Brain Chain that both kind of came out at the same time.
Yep.
And me and my brother-in-law were like super pumped about them, and like Singularity.net just seemed like it was the biggest next thing. And I actually got to check in on them and see how they're doing, because it was an incredible project, and I really hope they've like made some groundwork since then.
They're up 30x, maybe 20x. No.
Really?
10x? No, I don't know. 5x. Well, they're at 32 cents. AGI, and I'm looking forward to the global AI marketplace. SingularityNet lets anyone create, share, and monetize AI services at scale. What does that even mean? We'll find out on the next episode. Scaling AI services? What?
Do you know what? This is actually, dude, like we have to just jump right into it since you brought up Ben Gertzel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't remember. I think it's a reef. I might have to just look this up real quick so I can give proper love to where proper love needs to go. But there is a company called, it's a Reef Con. So Reef Con runs this company called Alethea, which is also an AI company. I don't know if you've heard of Alethea, have you?
No.
So he used to work with Ben Gertzel and Sophia. And what these guys are doing, one of the things these guys are doing, is creating AI in a ton of different ways on the blockchain. And now one of the really cool things they want to do that I really want to hone in here is imagine an AI, okay, I'm trying to think of how I could lay this framework actually. So imagine an AI of Spider-Man, okay? If you wanted to create an AI of Spider-Man, how could you do that, right? The way you would have to do that is you'd have to take everything Spider-Man had ever said and sort of catalog that and make a database, yeah? And then once you had the entire database, you plugged it into an AI system, like something like Alethea, then you could create a digital version of Spider-Man, okay? Does that make sense? Now, this Spider-Man is just one example. You could use Batman, take everything Batman had ever said in any sort of comic book, pull the dialogue, put it into an AI system, and you have Batman, it's the same thing with like deep fakes. I don't know if you've seen like, you take so many hours of Joe Rogan, you plug it into a
You're
robot, and
talking
it
about
sounds
a
like Joe
clone
Rogan. Kind of. A digital clone, almost.
that communicates what, numerically or visually?
I guess this would be by text, but it would be really easy to plug in a voice to plug a voice into these AIs so you could actually interact with them. So these are like interactive AI that have already passed the Turing test. For those of you that don't know the Turing test, it's a test that if a computer you can interact with a computer and it can convince you it's not a computer, it passes the Turing test. Alethea's already developed robots and AI not robots, that have passed the Turing test. So in theory, if you could create an AI Spider-Man, an AI Batman, you could create what's called a character Bible of different AI characters, right? That you could plug in voices, you could even attach them to digital avatars and drop them into Decentraland, let's say. So you could interact with an AI Spider-Man in Decentraland, let's say. And you could create a whole sort of AI landscape with that moving forward. Anyways, the only reason I bring that up is because Singularity Net, Ben Goertzel, one of his colleagues, broke away from that and Sophia to create this whole type of thing,
Wow.
Which is just absolutely crazy to me,
Where could that be happening to me right now, in a sense?
It could. Actually, you would be a perfect example for that because as far as deepfakes go and AI goes, the more data you have, the better a product you would get. So I'm sure you have like hundreds of hours of just your face on the internet. Maybe not hundreds of hours, but definitely tens of hours, let's say. Like deepfakes are getting better and better by the day, and it'd be so easy to take your voice, take your speech patterns, and take your sort of genetic makeup, let's say, not genetic makeup, but your facial recognition, let's say, put that all into an AI. It runs a little bit of math number crunching, and then you do have a digital version, a digital clone of you. And once we start to get into that territory, the implications are huge.
Yeah, because you're creating memories in Decentraland from, if it gets to a realistic state, that I'm not in control of. So the memories that you're experiencing with this deep fake is literally sucking from the host, and so to speak, sucking from the host like a parasite, and creating different, whether it's bad things or being a bad actor or saying the wrong thing.
Or imagine somebody just like took your deep fake AI, or let's just call it your AI for simplicity. Somebody took your AI and then created their own young content show. And they just stole your IP, your true IP, let's say. You know what I mean? There's so many different implications here. It's such a rabbit hole.
Then you add the Neuralink to that. Or
exactly.
Memory upload. And
that's a good point. Or you could or if you have the Neuralink, then you could literally avatar interface with your digital clone and walk about. It's like you're literally going into the Matrix. In a certain sense,
it's
you know what I mean?
Because they say that in the next 10 years we're going to see a quantum leap, not a slow stride with the horsey, but a quantum leap in tech.
Well, here's the thing though, it's that stuff is already all around us though, and so with Aletheia, the thing is, it's that technology exists already. They've built out AI so well. And all that AI needs is a really good database to be plugged into it, right? Now there's another company called Arweave, I don't know if you've heard of them, that is basically the database of Web 3.0 and can be the database of Web 2.0. Basically their idea is they want to catalog and basically store all Web 3 data forever, permanently. And once you create a big database, then you're able to catalog it, and you basically create a web, and you're able to pull from that. So once you completely catalog the entire internet permanently forever, then it's really easy to pull everything Spider-Man had ever said, everything Batman had ever said. You literally just Google Spider-Man dialogue, pull that out, plug it into your AI, and then you have something that you drop into Decentraland, or you drop into any sort of metaverse. Like, the technology's there, all you have to do is create a very simple stack, and then, it's not that simple. Of course, I'm sure there's a little bit of API and plugin and a bit of back-end development.
A little bit of AGI.
Yeah, a little bit of AGI, exactly. A little bit of...
It's crazy because we are focusing on like NFTs while they are building that pool you speak of, and we're just gonna be hopping from one layer of the string to the next layer of the string.
Exactly, and
that's integrated.
All integrated, and that's what I mean when I say, I think I tweeted this the other day, that the metaverse is already all around us. It's just in different pieces, like those layers, like those strings you just said. And somebody just needs to start connecting those dots and putting all those things together. And right now, like, a lot of people are focused on NFTs. And what's great about NFTs is we're injecting huge liquidity into this market to fund all of this development and all of this tech. You know what I mean? But the thing is, it's like, I saw somebody say this the other day, and this isn't my words, it's somebody else's words. And they were laughing at NFTs. They said everything right now is just a giant gimmick. Like, we haven't actually unlocked the true potential of NFTs or what they can do yet. Right now it's just kind of like this toy we're playing with, and it's just the most basic foundational layer of what's to come next. You know what I mean?
Tom, the Exquisitor himself says, everyone is asleep on the stream, dropping heat. Dropping heat, you say? Yes, we are dropping heat, especially at 4 o'clock East Coast time on Sunday, the Lord's Day. I'm not religious, but I should be relaxing and basking in the garden. Should be.
I should be enjoying a beautiful sunset right now, but...
Especially with the luscious curls that I have. Not Jeremy, me. But,
What the hell are you talking about? What do you call these?
It was crazy, because it's funny you mentioned that, because I was watching this thing called Retro Tech. And Marcus Brownlee was talking about teleportation.
Okay.
And with teleportation, breaking up the atoms is the only way you travel, the only way you can get A to B. Breaking up the particles and reconstructing them back together on the other side.
Okay.
But a lot of data will get lost. They're messing with photons and prisms and lasers.
I think I know where you're going with this, yeah.
Now, what he blew my mind, because at the end they were testing all this VR tech. The point is not getting from point A to B. The point was bringing B to A. And with VR, with the meta, you're bringing, that's teleportation. You're bringing B to A. Because wouldn't that be the metaverse? You're in a different mind state. You're in a different memory state. You're in a different, endorphin state. Isn't that VR? Isn't VR teleportation?
I think in a certain way it is, man. And I've heard, I think what you just described, I've heard referred to as a wormhole a lot recently. I've been reading some articles the last couple of days talking about we'll be able to wormhole into the metaverse, but then when we come back into reality, there'll be layers of AR and VR layered on top of our physical reality. And I don't know how that'll look yet. I don't know if it'll be some sort of Google Glass we wear, or if it'll be some sort of Neuralink sort of situation. But that does kind of make sense to me. I think the next 10 years, man, I think we're, like you said, we're about to take a quantum leap in the next 10 years as far as what all this technology is about to do. Because all we need is a good set of standards and protocols to act as the bridge between all of these different things, which I can name 2 projects off the top of my head that are building those things right now to act as the bridge between all those different elements. You know what I mean?
And it even goes deeper into the family core, or the sexual, what men and women want, because a lot of men, this is a little off topic, but this is Fleas, and you just
we're jumping around.
This is the Fleas aspect. A lot of men are, do you know the stats when it comes to how many actual men are sexually active, percentage wise?
I think I might have seen a graph the other day about what you're talking about, but please go on for our listeners.
20% of men are having sex with most of the women.
20% of men?
20% of men. That's why you have a high increase in OnlyFans, e-girls, and also
That makes
porn,
sense.
along
That
with
makes sense.
strip clubs. Men are not getting sexual access. So I think they're priming us, in a sense, for the meta, for robotics, AI, making love to AI, things like that. It's something that in the next 3 years we're just going to be okay with.
That's an incredibly deep philosophical, like that's deep, man, because you're kind of scratching at something that I think is actually could be potentially incredibly profound. And that question is like, can you get the same sort of intimate connection
I think so.
in the metaverse as you can physically? Like, could you have a sexual experience, or could you foster a connection with somebody in the metaverse? Exactly. Could you find love in the metaverse? I think the obvious answer to that is yes. The more interesting question is, what are the implications of that? But I think in a certain sense, we're already doing this, because how many people actually meet, like how many people meet their partners nowadays in physical situations, or and as compared to how many people meet their partners digitally nowadays, like Tinder, for example.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of the first iteration, I think, of kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah. It's not it's not it's not a human that's doing this. I think it's a bigger system at play. That's why we always talk about the singularity. What if that singularity is that wormhole that's just giving you upgrades? You know, it's just like giving kids candy. Here's an upgrade. Here's candy. Take the word candy to upgrade.
Are we about to go into the Flea Byte conspiracy theory hour, Young?
No. You know, one of my passions is NFTs, but one of my big passions is living in a Star Wars reality.
That's gonna be possible though, dude.
That's one of my biggest things. I would love for my son or my son's son to live in that, and I set him up in the right way.
I don't think people understand this though, so I just want to preface this with like Gabby Dizon, who's the head of YGG, tweeted something a while back that was really profound to me. And it was something along the lines of, and I think I've probably said this to you actually, Young. I think this might have been from our first, conversation. And he said something along the lines of, my like 10-year-old son has made more money playing Axie Infinity than I have up until recently, and my 9-year-old daughter has paid for her college education playing crypto games. So now what you're saying is like you imagine living in a Star Wars world. Well, that's going to be possible sooner than we think because of all of these digital economies that we're building out, like complex digital economies that we're building out with VR and AR. And the DAOs, like people are sleeping so hard on DAOs right now, man. Like people do not understand the implications of that. DAOs are the government of the metaverse. NFTs, like NFTs are one of the economical outlets for the metaverse. But like, you know, and then DeFi is the bank for the metaverse. And like, there's so many different ways you could take this. And once again, all these pieces just laying around that need to come together to create that Star Wars world you're talking about. But it's all there. And it's not that far away. And like in photorealism as well. Like not clunky, shitty graphics, but like it'll be hard to distinguish. And so to bring it back to like, will you be able to find love with like a weird Star Wars alien? I think the answer to that is obviously yes. You know, and live a whole different second life in that world sooner than you think.
Yeah. And don't, you know, DAOs are important, but these archives that we're talking about too, that's a full... The thing about robotics that I love is that robots are very deterministic. But I think a lot of this meta and a lot of this media that we're creating is going to allow them to like be a little more human, if that makes sense.
For like the AI aspect.
For the AI aspect.
Do you know what I think do you know what I think the AI is going to do for humanity that's going to be huge? Like what I think what you're kind of getting at, maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is I think AI is going to liberate a lot of people from jobs. Meaning, imagine you take Aristotle and you plug him into an AI. Or you take any sort, like let's say you take Jordan B. Peterson, he has enough shit out there, and plug him into an AI, and then you go to college and your professor is Jordan Peterson, and that's available to everybody. I was chatting to I don't want to say his name, but I was
And he
chatting
gets
to a
paid
very
for that too. Don't get it twisted. That's his IP. He's gonna get paid for that.
exactly, and that's
On his
the
family for
creator.
eons.
Exactly, and that's the creator economy. You know what I mean? So like the future of education, that's the future of education. Now imagine you're also Nike and you have a Nike storefront in the metaverse. You don't want actual people in your storefront like working there. You just have Nike, like the perfect AI Nike salesman in there. You just plug in the right character from the character Bible and you just liberated somebody from that job. Google technical support, AI. All these mundane, boring jobs, liberated. And like let's plug in something like Andrew Yang philosophy, like universal basic income. You give some universal basic income out, fuel the creator economy, etc., like we're living in a whole new world that I don't think is that unrealistic. Now there's a lot more nuance there, but I don't know.
Tom the Exquisitor himself said, thoughts on the Epic Games metaverse? They would be the one to Ready Player One us all.
100%.
They would be the one. The first intro of that scene would be Epic Games.
Yep, 100%. I think once again, I think this is I've learned a lot more about the Epic Games, aka Roblox, sort of forays into the metaverse this week, and I think they're doing a lot more in this space than we realize. Like I think Epic Games could very well produce the first at-scale metaverse that we see, possibly, because they have the resources, they have the interest, and they're already building it out in sneaky ways.
But when it comes to like an Activision that doesn't listen to their community,
they're gonna die.
Do you even give a fuck if they have a metaverse? Or
I think
drones are playing this shit, or because they already, I don't know. I just don't. I don't think communities that don't listen to their communities are even gonna. Maybe if it's fun, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know. If you're Activision and you see the way things are going, do you like make an adjustment though? Like do you go, okay, guys, we need to rethink our business strategy or possibly die?
Yeah, I think that the latter is probably what they're gonna end up in, because how do you train someone who's just been making boatloads of money like that? I mean, they would have to see the money potential on the other side.
But I think the money potential on the other side is already here, man. Yeah, like I think that's why we've gotten so much traction recently. Once again, I was reading another article today. PSA, guys, read articles; it'll make you smarter. I was reading another article. By the way, read articles. I was reading another article. Actually, like this article was talking about I'm gonna butcher this quote, but it was something along the lines of the crypto world now has enough liquidity and financial resources to completely build itself out now without needing money from the outside world. Meaning that we have now, in a certain sense, now this isn't 100% true, that we've built a financial wall around crypto in a very loose, certain kind of sense. And now that we've bootstrapped crypto, basically, I guess is the simplest way to put it. And now we have our funds to build.
When in history have we bootstrapped things? In the Victorian era, because we are from 1886. Didn't we bootstrap with textiles?
I think in a certain sort of way, we
art.
bootstrapped. Maybe colonialism was the first bootstrapping, though,
yeah.
In a certain sense, because colonialism was all about taking resources and what your country needed and lacked from other places to build out your country in a better sort of sense.
And that hosh posh created the art and the music, and that hosh posh was the knitting.
Exactly. Yeah. Like and so like I think we've always been bootstrapping, but I don't think I actually tweeted this today as well. I'm not trying to shill my Twitter account or anything. I won't even drop my username, but
Shill it.
I don't like using the words revolution or movement because I think there's some weird connotation there. But I think the thing that we're doing now might be successful and will be successful because we now have a whole new toolbox at our disposal that no other movement or revolution has ever had in history.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's kind of crazy. This is probably a side tangent here. but thinking of Scientology and a cult, is the NFT community a cult? Because
That's a good question, man.
it seems culty in a good way, but in the Scientology with Ron L. Hubbard, he needed voices, he needed influencers. The Tom Cruises, the John Travoltas, the emphasis to beat in the hammer. Do you think that's happening here?
I think your question is such a beautiful question, man. Like seriously, I love the conversations we have, man, first of all. But because I ask myself this question a lot, once again being a fan of history, and that's why I say like I don't like to use revolutions and movements as words because of the connotation. And I try to think like, is the way I'm thinking the same way like a communist in Russia was thinking in 1917? You know what I mean? Like, is this same passion in my belly the same passion that filled the Commissar, the Paris Commune? Like, is this just history repeating itself and I'm blind to it? And are we in a cult? Like, are we drinking the Kool-Aid right now?
Even with like stage 1 feminism, it's changed from stage 4 feminism, you know, or stage 1 communism. It's changed from where it's at now. It's all just a evolutionary thing, whether it could go bad or good, you know.
I think so. Like, I guess to kind of like get at your question, I think there are NFT cults, I guess, but I think you get these sort of cults in anything, and I think it's just another word for tribalism. You know, so I think we have like NFT tribalism going on, like people getting really excited about, like, I gotta snatch up everything, and like, you know, an NFT is an NFT is an NFT, and just not seeing value.
Say goodbye to Tom Tom. Bye, Tom.
See you, Tom Tom.
Toodles.
Thanks for sticking around, and thanks for the questions. Actually,
you're a great
good
gentleman.
questions.
Hope you enjoy your day, son. So that's why it's weird when you know, when space MMOs and the Star Alliance or whatever they're called in Star Atlas, because
the Atlassians, I don't know, they have a weird name for their community. I think it's Atlassians or something.
Really?
Sorry.
And I'm looking forward to seeing I think degen people are very gullible, and they are you could see the psychology of them rushing into projects or wanting to be a part of the crowd, FOMOing. So many times examples that have bought NFTs and people are like, hey, how do I get a borrow of this? I just heard you say something. So it's like, you know, you just gotta really be intentional with your flock.
Yeah.
Because as much as we don't like religion, I feel like as degens, new religions could even be created in the future with this NFT metaverse stuff.
I'd say they will be though, like 100%. In some sort of form, like you're gonna totally have churches spring up in the metaverse, you know, because you're gonna just get a charismatic leader, as these things tend to do. But to kind of backtrack here, like going back to the degen thing and just people rushing and grabbing and buying, I think the easiest way, and we talked about this on the influence call as well, like the easiest way to curb that is like I've actually had a ton of people asking me this question recently, and I've been given this answer a lot. It's like, be patient, do some research, realize, like, remember that graph I held up saying we are here and there's this giant like upward trend coming? I think it's just people, like, I think the degen thing is just pure FOMO, man. Like, I love NFTs. I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I don't buy a lot of NFTs. You know what I mean?
Shocking.
Right? You heard it here first. I love NFTs. Like, I'm an analyst on NFTs, the metaverse and gaming. Don't buy that many, because it's I get more of a kick out of studying what's going on than spending time in a queue hoping to pick something up that is probably going to be worthless in the next 3 or 4 months.
You are really the fleas to the hairs in the microfibers of the information. Just tussling and bustling.
I don't know, man. Like, what do you think about like, how do we like, do you think the NFT thing, like, how do we fix, like, not fix that, but how do we educate people as far as that goes? Like, how do people stop FOMOing? That's a good question. How do we cure FOMO?
We cure FOMO, you gotta teach an abundance mindset. That's why nature and technology should be working one in hand. Nature and technology. Nature is technology, so I would really encourage self-discovery, breath work, patience. You know, there's a lot of the stuff that you
Discipline.
Discipline. I've been watching a show called The OA. Ever seen The OA on Netflix?
Dude, I haven't. I don't get much time nowadays to watch things, unfortunately.
It's about a woman that died and came back, and she came back blind but with talent. So it's like, I really consider what we're doing in these niche communities a talent, and it's a talent not to be squandered or misused. It's a gift to multiply. So those with the gift, I feel like anybody that knows how to use exchanges, knows how to like transfer money, knows how to use wallets, that's a gift that you know, you can see in the percentages not a lot of people know how to do that. So you just got to channel that gift with the right voices, and that's why I think making movies and things like Parallel Influence, they could really provoke thought. Somebody's going to be provoking thought here in this NFT world very soon.
Well, I also think there's like, you also need degens, and you also need people like running around and buying things and testing things out, because that also like enables true market discovery, you know, and that allows things to float or sink, and that like gives things value. So these are important elements to test, try, and once again, just inject liquidity. You need creation, you need to know what works, what doesn't work, in order to figure out like the winning formula. You know what I mean? Like we didn't get the 10th iMac or whatever the pinnacle of technology is now by only buying one thing. It was by like trying out a bunch of different shit and then aggregating all of the pros, cons, mistakes, and lessons into a better product, you know. So
wow. We're gonna segment into this part of the show where we read about a futurist, because I think Jeremy Stormsky has a futurist name and we're creating history here. So we're just gonna go back in time in the Fleas. Fleas means teleporting. All right, it means going backwards. Byte means
we're going back into Fleas. We're going into the fur.
We're going into the furs, the microcosm. So this man was named Filippo Tommaso Marinetti, Italian, born in Egypt. Futurism. 1908, along with young writers like Roger and Allen. Marinetti is known best for the author of Futuristic Manifesto, which he wrote in 1909. It was published in French on the front page of the most prestigious French daily newspaper. The founding and manifesto of futurism, Marinetti declared that art, in fact, can be nothing but violence, cruelty, and injustice. The newspaper founder of the manifesto declared that blah blah blah, who influenced the entire political spectrum to anarchism. Also argued for the importance of violence. Futurism has both anarchist and fascist elements.
Fascist and anarchist. I mean, yeah, the future is always at risk of fascism and anarchy, because, like, with any sort of chaos,
what are we doing
like
now?
I said, what are we doing now?
We're doing now. We're anarcho-capitalists. We are free market people, you know. And through that, you might create chaos in that. It might be violent. I don't know. Him saying future is violent.
Well, I think he was saying that like the future, like, so if the future is violence and the future provokes anarchism and fascism, like chaos breeds the perfect breeding ground for anarchism and fascism, because it's, you know, like all it takes is one charismatic leader, like I was saying earlier, to seemingly restore order, you know.
Or it could take like America, you know, banning us for trading on open sea. You know.
What was he saying about art? Art is violence, though.
He said, declare that art in fact can be nothing but violence, cruelty, and justice.
I don't get that. I'm gonna be honest.
Either.
I don't understand. Like, I'd have to like be familiar with his philosophy to know what he was getting at there.
And he was an active supporter of Mussolini.
Ooh, yeah. Well, there you go. We're reading some. I mean,
we're reading some dark futurism. I have a thing for dark futurism, you know, but
Well, we could be reading Amerigo Vespucci right now, for all we know, or like a collaborator of Amerigo Vespucci, you know, like who was one of the anarchists during World War One, who was throwing bombs around the place, you know. And thing is, anarchists usually write really good like manifestos, and they say intelligent things. And if you cherry pick them, you know, they could sound brilliant. I'm not saying this guy was
It's full circle, bro. Especially, I mean, thinking about art is I agree, art could be violent, but art is beautiful. Art is also comes from a dark, vulnerable place of pain. So
maybe that's what he meant.
Yeah, maybe. But there's this new art project from Tezos. Tezos has a art gallery that their art is selling for $1. We're talking about some high-end art. Walshy put me on today. I will link it in the description of the YouTube video. But maybe we should check that out. Buying art for $1 is not bad in the metaverse.
No, not at all.
Will you ever turn up the gears and start buying more NFTs, or you kind of content with your ability here?
Man, I think yes. I think the answer is yes, but I need a couple things for that to happen for me. Like I need to find like a really awesome like for example, once Illuvium launches, then I'll probably start buying a lot of Illuvium NFTs to interact with the game. Once Parallel launches, I'll start spending more money on their NFTs. Like I guess, and I do buy NFTs like out of speculation, I suppose I could say. But like I'm kind of trying to help. Here's the best way to put it. I'm trying to help bring the metaverse as close to the present day as I can. Like all the actions I do are in a hope that I could help somebody bring the metaverse one day closer. And once the metaverse gets here, then I'm gonna go NFT hog wild, son. You know what I'm saying? So like I guess my focus is on helping out in the space as much as I can, rather than funding the space as much as I can. And I think there's a bit of a distinction there, if that makes sense. Like my energy is better spent connecting people, consulting, giving my input, as opposed to bootstrapping.
Yeah, for sure.
If that makes sense.
And honestly, man, I'm always trying to find out how. I always think, hey, I gotta be at Hollywood, you know. I gotta go to Hollywood. I gotta rub shoulders with the right people. I gotta go to cocktail bars. But what if I'm doing that right now in Discord, you know? What if I'm doing that shit right now in Parallel, and Parallel gets picked up, or, you know, you believe. It's kind of like the seed aspect. You start in the ground with these things. And you don't know where this tree goes, you know? So
that's so, and to tie it back to what you're saying, like self-discovery, discipline, and focus, man. Like once again, with a lot of this advice I've been throwing out to people, and like I don't feel like I'm in a position to be giving advice to people, but when they ask for it, I'll do my best. You know what I'm saying? But like with that self-discovery, with that discipline, and all those different things, like, and if you could find that path and hone in on that path with that focus, like you're saying, like it's not rubbing, like people tell you that to get into Hollywood you need to go to the cocktail bars, etc., etc., but you're like finding young content's path. I am finding my path. And trust me, like my path, I haven't found in any like how-to guides or anything like that. It's being brave enough to take risks and not knowing what the fuck I'm doing. And like just, and to have that ability, like you have to have that self-knowledge. You have to know thyself. You have to have that discipline, you know? But it's like, you just believe in yourself, guys. And do the thing. Like Shia LaBeouf said, just do it. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta do the thing. Do the thing.
And
it's so important.
And that's why I think we're in a renaissance. And I gotta say,
I think we are.
We're in a renaissance, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to like imagine the feeling of them waking up to be like, wow, there's just all this energy surrounding me. There's jazz music. There's the circus. There's the cinema, you know? And then planning their days around that, writing and scripting and hanging and conversing and drinking. We're kind of doing that in Discord. We're doing that in Twitter. We're doing that right now on Faded TV.
Yeah. Well, dude, how good of a feeling is it though to actually know thyself, so to say, and to be doing your own thing, and to like look forward into the future and like have this like really deep feeling of content, you know, and knowing that like you're doing the right thing and you're marching toward the future in like a really productive way. And I think Jordan Peterson said it, where he was saying that sacrifice is like one of the greatest things we have as humanity, because it's recognizing that you're giving up something in the present in order to gain something of much more value in the future.
Wow.
And I think hanging out in these
my last name means sacrifice.
Does it?
I swear to God.
There you go. Exactly.
Mendez.
Exactly. Boom. And sacrifice is one of the most beautiful things, man. Like when you break it down, you know, you're giving up something in the present, and it's not easy to do that, and that's why it requires discipline and focus. Knowing and being like, we have consciousness as people. We can look into the future and recognize that this sacrifice will get us something of greater value in the future. You know? That's why I haven't watched the OA and movies recently, because I've sacrificed those things in my pursuit for a better future.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
I think it's like the sacrificial aspect. It's been my whole life for the past 5 years, living paycheck to paycheck, and this is me being honest, but seeing NFTs as a spaceship, and I think that sacrifice for the past 5-6 years has given me something else in exchange, like contentment and sensei wisdom and positivity, you know, and a love, you know. It's giving me love, you know. It's giving me love for my fellow man. So, you know, I have love for you, and I have never met you. I have love for the community of NFT snipers. I feel that same bond as I feel with someone I meet at the park, and that's you're so spot on.
That's so cool though, man. Like, and like, isn't it such a good feeling knowing that like imagining the future that sacrifice can bring you? Like when I think about my future, I am so jazzed and excited, man. Like when I think about my future, I think like, I know like my future to me isn't chilling on a beach somewhere like drinking appleteenies or something. Like my future is like being...
I would love to do that with you though.
I would love to do that with you, man. I would love to have like...
In a Ibiza.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Or like rubbing shoulders with people in Miami, because that seems like a good place to be right now in the crypto world. Or in Wyoming. We could have a fucking cabin we co-own in Wyoming one day, bro.
Dude,
that's reality.
I'm going to be using a lot of my NFT estate for my land estate in Wyoming.
Yeah, I know lots of great places I could show you around. Like I said, I grew up there.
I have a question for you.
Yeah,
Since that you're so... I feel like the universe has encapsulated you to be great. If you had 20 minutes to live, I think 20 minutes to live, putting that on the front of your mind allows you to be bold every day. Not saying you're die, but if you had 20 minutes to live, what am I doing in this next 20 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
What the fuck am I doing?
Exactly. I mean, I don't think in that sort of framework, but I totally understand what you're saying. And for me, dude, it's just like, okay, here's the way I think about it, right? It's within the last year, or maybe not the last year, but in the past. And if I had to compare things to the past, like in the past, I like sitting around, having some beers, watching Netflix, and being bored in my evening. That doesn't work for me, because that doesn't fulfill me. Now, being super passionate about this space that I'm in, where like I wake up so early in the morning to just start my day, and I stay up later than I should because I just want to read one more article or do one more thing. I found that thing that feels so much better to me than watching Netflix or drinking beer. You know, like seriously, I only drink beer during the week when I'm on this show with you, man, and it's such a treat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're giving me the itch. I think the fleas literally hopped from that screen to this screen. Oh. The itch is real. The itch. You remember when you felt that itch, right?
Yeah.
You remember it vividly. I remember it from a shit coin I bought called Flex Coin. But there was a guy named Denny, and he was constantly just let's get in the chat room. Let's talk. And I think there's a empathetic thing there that attracts you, and that's why it's really important to be nice in this space.
100%,
even if you're
man.
a fucking regal douchebag like myself. I'm telling you.
Well, you have to be nice in this space though, because how many times during this conversation have we talked about how community is the most important thing? You can't be a dick in a community-based economy.
Yeah.
You know?
You can't.
Like, you can't. It's
can't.
as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like, if I were to be a dick and charge for all the time I've given to all these different projects, like, I wouldn't be where I am today. Most of the stuff I do is very generous, let's say. And I'm not saying that to like pat myself on the back. It's just because like anyways.
You're not deterministic, I think. I mean,
yeah.
You know, you're not a full AI system. You're not trying to get results ASAP. I think that's what's separating you, and we'll go full circle and end there. We're not deterministic. We are organic creatures that are building alliances and trying to just trying to make space for our community. There's not like making space for the people that you really look up to, or people you see potential in.
See, I think like making space for people that you love though is so important. You know, like it's just taking care of your fellow man when you make space for somebody. You know what I mean?
For sure.
I referred somebody to like a job today, you know, and it was like this young kid, you know, who's like super hungry at the moment, and like we've been chatting back and forth, and I see that fire in his belly, I see that itch you're talking about, and I keep throwing him this stuff, you know, just to because I know if I was in that position I would be pumped. You know what I mean? And like it's like the eye of the tiger. When you see somebody has the eye of the tiger, it fires you up as well. It's the whole concept of iron sharpens iron. And I love being around a bunch of fucking swords. You know what I mean? And that's also something I think I also love about this space, man, is that like the crypto space in general is just full of a bunch of hungry, passionate people who just want to kick ass every single day. And I thrive in that environment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely, like sword and shield and all, phalanx and all, just ready for battle, ready for the righteous battle, and
exactly.
And how dare, like, even in the days of old where they had good information and they chose not to share it.
Martin Luther, man, that's what Martin Luther was all about. You know about Martin Luther?
Oh man, give me a little quick
little what's it? Quick little taster. Okay, well, you definitely heard of Martin Luther. It's like a Lutheranism, you know? So Martin Luther, basically, before Martin Luther, the Bible was unreadable, meaning that like the Bible was in Latin or whatever language. Martin Luther, this German madman, took the Bible and translated it into the common tongue, which was a big no-no during the day, because knowledge is power, quite literally. And Martin Luther gave power to the people, and that's why we remember his name today, because he was a disruptor. You know what I mean?
Wow. Took it away from the Latin and the oligarchy, or so to speak, or the hierarchy, and gave it to the common man.
He took the manipulation away, and that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're giving knowledge and power back to the people. We're disruptors. Truly.
Real.
Truly.
We all have a little bit of that Martin Luther spirit.
We do. We absolutely do.
Except for the pirates on influence. I mean the bad pirates.
You sons of a bitch. You turds.
You guys are gonna have a lot. I can already see there's gonna be, that game is very science meta, so there's gonna be a lot of dark art information that only certain people know there. Hopefully it gets democratized.
DAOs, baby. DAOs and social coins, I'm telling you.
Alright, chat. Son, I have a horse to ride. It's been a great show. It's been very I thought it would be more regal, but it was actually down to earth.
It was down to earth, and we went deep as always, I think. So, you know.
For sure.
We did the young storm sort of thing, you know.
Is Barbara coming to the theater tomorrow?
Barbara's coming.
We got a theater play. I don't know. You saw it on your.
Well, Barbara, she's a beautiful young lady, and I believe she'll be sitting in the boxes.
Jennifer misses her, son. Jennifer truly misses her, playing with her hair, just going on walks with her. And me and you, we could go to the hop field.
The hop field? Well, we could go to the hop field, and then we could go to the cigar emporium and reminisce about the first time we saw our ladies.
Yep. I'll catch you in the circus, Mike.
All right, Fleabag
Dude,
forever.
it was great talking to you. Thank you guys for tuning in to Hotel Fleas Byte with Jeremy Stormsky and Young Content. It was a pleasure to talk to you, to reminisce. Till next time.
Take it easy, guys.
Cheers.